Welcome back to a deep dive. Today we're exploring something really powerful, but maybe surprisingly overlooked. It's the often subconscious way our words shape things at work, our relationships, team dynamics. Our deep dive today is pulling from a source called Six Words That Secretly Sabotage Workplace Trust. And our mission really is to figure out how these words that seem pretty harmless, can actually sort of subtly undermine trust and psychological safety. This is just so critical in an agile culture, isn't it? Where you've got constant change, quick feedback, empowered product teams.
Absolutely. The psychological safety, the freedom to speak up, to challenge, maybe even to, fail fast without getting slammed for it. It's the bedrock.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, the source points this out too, is you need a human perspective for this. Like an AI might just skim over these words, right?
It might miss the subtle baggage they carry for us. But for people, these words can make a huge difference. They can build up a team or, well, create friction.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're talking about words that kind of quietly put up barriers. Our source starts with but. I mean, we use it all the time, don't we? Often thinking it softens a criticism.
Yeah, we do.
But the source says it sabotages trust. How does that work exactly? Is there some psychological quirk I'm missing?
It's it's a really interesting bit of cognitive psychology, actually. Your brain, it's kind of wired for threat detection, right? So it instinctively latches on to whatever comes after the but. Because but signals, okay, here comes the problem, or the praise is over. Now for the critique.
Oh,
Think about that classic example. You do excellent work, but there was a problem in your last report.
right.
The second you hear but, that excellent work part just poof, it feels like it evaporates. Praise feels negated.
Yeah.
It's like a subtle cognitive hijack. The positive stuff just becomes the lead-in to the real message, which feels like it's always the negative part.
It really does feel like that, doesn't it? I know I've used but trying to be gentle with feedback and then worried the compliment just sounded hollow.
Exactly. The intention might be good.
But the impact is off. So how do we fix that? If it's such a default, how do we rewire our communication?
Well, that's the core challenge. And the fix is surprisingly simple, but really powerful.
Yeah.
Often you can just swap but for and maybe tweak the sentence a bit.
Okay.
So that example becomes, you do excellent work, and I need your help to address a concern that was brought to my attention in this report.
I see.
See how that works. You keep the positive acknowledgement, you keep the motivation there, but you're still clearly constructively bringing up the issue.
Yeah, that lands very differently.
And an agile, right, where you need that constant feedback loop for product improvement. This approach really builds psychological safety. It makes people more open to constructive comments because they don't feel like their previous good work is being, dismissed.
That and definitely makes it feel more like a partnership, less like you're being set up for bad news.
Okay, so if but can subtly dismiss what was said, the next word should, that feels like it can dismiss the person, right? It often carries a real weight.
Oh, absolutely. Should is heavy. It can unintentionally signal judgment, authority, and really importantly for agile teams, it triggers defensiveness. Like you should pay more attention during meetings.
Ooh, wow.
Doesn't sound collaborative, does it? It sounds like a command. Or like you're being told off.
Definitely.
At an agile where you're aiming for these self-organizing product teams, should just undermines that autonomy. It subtly shifts a peer suggestion into feeling like a directive. And that chips away at the psychological safety you need for people to experiment, learn from mistakes, be honest in retrospectives, all that good stuff. I can feel the tension just hearing that phrase. It makes you want to push back, not lean in. It feels like a lecture. But what if, sometimes you do need to give a clear direction, right? How do you tell the difference between a necessary instruction and this undermining should?
That's a great point. It's about nuance. If it's genuinely a directive, something that must be done, then state it clearly. We need to ensure X is done by Y. That's different.
Okay.
But if you're looking for someone to change their behavior or improve something, shift the focus. Make it about mutual benefit, shared goals. Instead of you should pay more attention, try something like, by being more present during meetings, we can all benefit more from your participation, and you can gain greater understanding.
Framing it around the we and the benefit.
Exactly. It becomes about collective improvement and individual growth. It fosters that shared purpose, rather than just being a top-down instruction. It's about empowerment, not dictation.
Okay, makes sense. Now, speaking of words with hidden weight,
Oh, yeah.
obvious. This one seems like it should be helpful, right? Conveying clarity.
Right. You'd think so.
But the source calls it a trap. What's going on there?
It really can be a trap. When you say something is obvious, you immediately create a potential knowledge gap, or maybe an assumption gap. For anyone listening who doesn't find it obvious, hearing that word can make them feel, well, inadequate, or maybe stupid.
Yeah, I can see that.
And conversely, if someone actually sees complexity where you're implying simplicity, it can damage your credibility. They might think, do they really understand this?
So it's kind of a lose-lose situation.
Pretty much. It's not just about being polite either. It actively discourages diverse viewpoints. It shuts down the kind of critical thinking you absolutely need for complex problem solving.
Yeah.
Imagine in, say, an agile sprint review for a product, someone says, well, it's obvious we need to improve our communication to meet the deadline.
Right.
You risk alienating team members who might actually be wrestling with why communication is tricky or have different ideas about it.
So yeah, you risk pushing people away who don't see it your way. Or maybe you look naive if it's actually more complicated. It really highlights how important truly inclusive communication is, especially for product managers and their teams. You don't want to miss crucial insights.
Precisely. The constructive way.
Yeah.
Just take obvious out. State the point directly and inclusively. You could just say, improving our communication would help us stay on track to meet the deadline.
Simple, direct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You convey the info, but without alienating anyone or making assumptions.
Yeah.
Keeps the conversation productive and inclusive. It maintains that vital psychological safety, letting all perspectives come forward.
Okay, this next one was a real aha moment for me, and it feels super relevant to how teams innovate. Let's talk about or. When we frame things as either, the source suggests we're actually limiting our own creativity, which feels totally counter to agile product development.
That's spot on. Or often creates these false dichotomies.
False dichotomies.
Meaning it forces us into thinking there are only two options, option A or option B. When in reality, there might be option C, D, E, or maybe even a blend of A and B. It really restricts creative thinking. We end up overlooking potentially brilliant solutions that combine elements or explore totally new paths.
Yeah.
And Agile thrives on finding the best solution for the product through iteration, not being forced into these narrow choices, right?
Yeah.
Either thinking just stifles the kind of divergent thinking you need for sprint planning, backlog refinement, tackling impediments. The source gives a good example. We can either enforce strict policies to ensure compliance, or we can give employees total freedom and risk chaos.
Wow, yeah. That paints a picture of extremes, doesn't it? You miss all the possibilities in the middle. You can almost feel the problem-solving energy just draining away because you've boxed yourself in, when the best answer might be a mix or something completely different.
Exactly. So instead of shutting down possibilities, you want to invite collaboration, invite that out-of-the-box thinking. A much better framing would be something like, how can we create policies that maintain compliance while still giving employees enough freedom to work creatively and effectively?
Ah, posing it as a how can we achieve both question.
Yes. It reframes it from a limiting choice to an open invitation. Let's solve this together. Let's innovate. That taps right into the creative energy you need in Agile, where teams are constantly looking for new ways to deliver value.
Okay, another word that seems so small. Just. Like, it's just a suggestion. It feels harmless, maybe even humble.
Right, it seems innocuous.
But apparently it has the subtle power to minimize things, which could undermine people's contributions.
It really does. Just unintentionally dials down the importance or the effort involved. When you say it's just a suggestion, you might be trying to sound casual or avoid pressure. But what it often does is subtly invalidate the idea or the potential concerns about its impact. It signals, this isn't that important, or don't take this too seriously.
And that can make the person feel like their input isn't really valued, is it?
Exactly. It can lead to people feeling their ideas aren't being taken seriously. In an Agile team, where every observation, every small idea could potentially unlock a crucial insight for the product, minimizing contributions like that, it can create a chilling effect. People might just stop speaking up.
I can totally see that. It's like you're preemptively dismissing the idea's worth. A self-fulfilling prophecy of unimportance.
Precisely put. And the fix here is super straightforward. Just remove just.
Just take it out.
Yeah. Simply say, here's a suggestion.
Clean.
Clean, direct. It conveys the information without diminishing its value or the thought behind it. It lets the suggestion stand on its own merit, invites proper consideration, and maintains that respect for shared input that Agile product teams absolutely depend on.
Okay, final word. Why? Now, why feels fundamental, right? Especially in Agile, you're always asking why to understand root causes, improve processes.
It is fundamental, absolutely, for inquiry, for retrospectives, understanding why a sprint didn't deliver the expected product value, for example.
Yeah.
That's crucial.
But the source highlights a danger zone, a context where why can actually be counterproductive.
Yes. While it's essential for neutral inquiry, why can sound incredibly accusatory in emotional or sensitive situations. If someone's made a mistake or done something unexpected, asking, why did you do that,
Yeah.
can instantly put them on the defensive.
Oh, yeah. It feels like you're pointing a finger.
Exactly. It feels less like curiosity and more like an interrogation. It creates an us versus them feeling, which just erodes trust and that all-important psychological safety.
That's so true. It immediately makes things adversarial. People clam up, they get guarded,
Hmm.
which is the total opposite of the transparency you need to actually solve the problem or learn from it.
Right. So the key is to shift the framing. Invite explanation, foster curiosity,
Mm.
rather than triggering defensiveness. Instead of, why did you do that?
Mm.
Try phrases like, what led you to decide that? Or maybe, can you help me understand your reasoning behind that?
Focusing on the process or the reasoning, not just the action itself.
Precisely. These alternatives open the door for a real conversation. They encourage the person to share their perspective without feeling judged or backed into a corner. They keep the focus on learning and collaboration vital for effective product teams.
You know what's really fascinating here, listening to all these examples,
Yeah.
is that all these little tweaks to our word choice, they all point towards a deeper need, a need for greater mindfulness, maybe,
Mm.
and emotional intelligence in how we communicate.
Being more deliberate.
Being deliberate, yeah. What you're hearing, listeners, is common thread, right? Each of these words, in its own way, can minimize something the speaker's intent, the listener's perspective, the team's potential for innovation, that essential psychological safety. So what's the big takeaway here? I mean, it might seem faster, more efficient sometimes to just speak without thinking so carefully, right? To just say what first comes to mind.
It might feel that way in the moment.
But the source argues there's a real cost to that carelessness.
You're absolutely right. It might feel quicker to be careless, but the long-term cost of damaged relationships,
Yeah.
that far outweighs any tiny bit of time you think you saved. And in Agile especially, where collaboration isn't just a nice to have, it's the engine driving product innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Those strong relationships built on trust, they're everything. They're what allows product teams to tackle really complex challenges, to experiment, to fail fast and learn, to adapt. Every single communication choice you make, really, it either strengthens those bonds or it weakens them. It either builds psychological safety or it chips away at it. And that directly impacts how well a team can actually perform and deliver value.
That's a really powerful point. It's not just about being nice. It's fundamental to the team's health, its effectiveness, its ability to innovate. These small shifts in language can lead to much more impactful, positive interactions for everyone.
Wow, we've covered a lot today. We looked at but, should, obvious, or just, and why. How these everyday words can subtly sabotage trust. I think the real aha moment is just recognizing that power, the power of conscious word choice to build trust, foster a positive atmosphere, especially in these dynamic, agile teams.
Definitely. And maybe as a final thought for you listening, reflect on some recent conversations you've had. Did any of these words pop up? How might they have influenced how your message landed? Could different word choices maybe have led to a better outcome? And hey, we'd love to hear from you too. Are there other words you've noticed that create similar challenges in your workplace? Let us know. Great questions to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. If you found this helpful and want to dig deeper into building a more harmonious workplace and strengthening trust, we've put links to the source video, Harmonious Workplace, Words That Build Trust, right there in the show description. Please do check it out for more insights. Until next time, keep diving deep.